body on your body. I wanna rub my body on your body. I wanna rub and love him. I wanna rub and kiss him. I wanna rub and jam him. I wanna rub and rub him. I wanna rub my body on your body. Rub my body on your body. Let me rub my body. Just get paid. I want to play. The vibes is right. I wanna hug up tight. No time to waste. I wanna work my ways. So come on, babes. Give me a taste. I wanna rub my body on your body. I wanna rub my body on your body. Let me rub my body on your body. I wanna rub my body on your body. I wanna rub and love him. I wanna rub and kiss him. I wanna rub and jam him. I wanna rub and rub him. I wanna rub my body on your body. I wanna rub my body on your body. Let me rub my body on your body. I wanna rub my body on your body. Well, no. I'm feeling. Up a sweat until I soak in wet. Rub your body, show no mercy, because I'm feeling tipsy, I'm feeling freaky. I wanna rub my body on your body. I wanna rub my body on your body. Let me rub my body on your body. I wanna rub my body on your body. I wanna rub and love. I wanna rub and jam up. I wanna rub and rub up. I wanna rub my body on your body. I wanna rub my body on your body. Let me rub my body on your body. I wanna rub my body on your body. Come down.
If you are looking to have your statutory declaration, affidavit of income, identity, damage or lost passport, lost license, tenancy agreement, agreement of settlement, power of attorney, last will and testament, and certification of documents, then you need to visit the Alistair Collins firm, located at the Kellyan Mall, 162 Lamaha Street, in Georgetown, between Camp and Waterloo Street. Alistair Collins is a commissioner of oaths and a justice of the peace. Make certain you visit him or call for For more information at 649-6410 or 685-6448 or 503-1451. And there's adequate parking available. Go down to the Alistair Collins firm and have all of your legal issues settled and brought to the fore. Alistair Collins firm. Contact them at Alistair Collins firm.
All right. Hey, guess what? Good evening. Good evening to all of you. Let me allow you guys to cool down a little. And we go through some sort of therapy here and history lessons, in a sense that we walk you through the severity of the style of the PPP regime, the installed regime, how they operate. And this is exactly what we're going to be doing tonight. Of course, some experience indeed. Lots and lots of experience. I want to talk about a lot of things. But let me give you guys, I know you were pashwing, so to speak. You're all tired up and you basically need to settle down and let's have a discussion now. Right? So you can share the link with some of your friends and your relatives and so forth. And we're getting ready to rock and roll because there are lots of things that are happening in Guyana that the regime wants to cover up. And when these things happen, guess what happens? When these things happen, then the regime comes up with all sort of propaganda stuff. Sweetness, give out cash grants, and now we're hearing that they're giving out cash grants to private schools, right? And that is exactly what happens when their backs are against the wall. They rush with taxpayers' monies to give out cash grants. In other words, what we do say is that they're sweet-talking people, and they're sweet-talking people with the cash grants and all sort of different things. That is exactly what they do. But Guyanese are smart, really, really smart, not to buy into that. Look, I know a lot of you guys want to see my face. You want to see what I look like this evening. I know that is the norm with many of you, right? All excited, wanting to see what I look like this evening. But I'm now getting started up. We're now warming up. My executive producer, Lemon, and others, they're putting things together. Give you guys an opportunity to share the link to all your neighbors, your friends, and everyone, because we have an interesting show this evening. I may have a guest. In fact, I was expecting a guest, but the operative word there is was, right? So guess what? I'm on tonight. You guys have me all for yourselves this evening. And no, I'm not broadcasting from my basement apartment in Queens, locked away in a studio basement or a one-bedroom basement. You know, they love, the Trench Crapple folks, they love to say that we live out in a basement. But speaking of basement, people who are renting their basements in Queens, especially in Queens, and good evening to all those folks who are renting their basements. They are in for some serious trouble because they are undercover officers who are going around to ensure that nobody is renting their basements and nobody is actually living in a basement. So I'm actually peeping through a crease. I don't want to be caught in a basement, mind you. Nothing is wrong with basement, but good evening to my friends Kumar and his beautiful wife Dilrani. They're actually in a basement, and they told me not to tell anybody about that at all. And Kumar was actually one of the ones who was cursing out APNU AFC supporters and laughing them that they live in a basement. But now tonight, poor Kumar got to peep and hide and listen to this show. All right, so guess what? I'm told that I should remove this here so you guys can get a peek as to what I look like this evening. But let me first say good evening to every one of you, every single one of you. Okay, so what is this photograph on the screen? What exactly is this photograph? Well, this here is the Berbice River Bridge. For all those of you who haven't gone back to Guyana all those years, well, this is the Berbice River Bridge. I want to talk about this protest. But let me give you guys an opportunity to pray for Kumar and Dilrani. They can't turn up the volume loud enough in Queens. And I'm not just speaking in Queens. There are some folks also in Brooklyn, but the concentration is basically in Queens and the basement and so forth. I'm sure that Rickford Burke is probably peeping out of his basement because, you know, the trench crappos, they say that I live in a basement, which nothing is wrong with that. Rickford Burke lives in a basement. Well, that is a fact. He lives in a basement, right? These folks are something else, man. Everybody for them live in a basement. But look, basement now under attack in Queens, New York. So these folks who are protesting because of the manner of treatment meted out to them at the Berbice River Bridge. They are workers at the Berbice River Bridge. They are upset, they are frustrated, and so they are protesting. Protesting. Everywhere you turn, there is a protest in the country. All because these catfish guys don't give a damn about anyone. Anyone. But they are protesting. They are blocking the traffic. And look, I support this sort of protest. I love a protest. Don't get me wrong. And I love what they're doing there. But you're not going to see police, van loads of police and all them sort of things interfering with this protest. You're not going to see that. Oh, no, you're not going to see that. You want me to whisper to you guys why you're not going to see the police there interfering with these folks? Let's not say why. You guys already know why, okay? I don't have to spell it out for you. These folks are not from Georgetown protesting. Otherwise, there would have been van loads of police waiting to grab them, snatch them, kidnap them, and dump them in Blairmont Police Station lockup. I know about that lockup. I spent a couple hours there. Oh yes, almost all of the lockups. All. You should see my face as I smile and as I proudly say all of the lockups, every single one of the lockups in Guyana I've experienced. Almost every single one of them. And if ever you get locked up and you go in there, you would see my name, Mark B. I wrote it. If you go into Brickdam lockups, you're going to see some tears on the ground. Teardrops on the ground. Those teardrops do not belong to me. Let me see if you guys are smart. I've been locked up with a couple of folks there, and one of them cry and bawl down the place. Hey, lockup isn't easy, you know. Lockup isn't easy. I'm not sure that Aubrey Norton ever tasted lockup, right? He sat for about an hour on the bench, but lockup isn't easy. My friend Kadaki Amsterdam tasted an hour or two on the bench. Being on the bench is different from being in the lockups. I don't think those guys would want to taste the lockups, man. And I'm not calling on the lockups for anybody. But anytime you're part of a struggle, anytime you're part of a fight, it simply means that you've got to be prepared for these things. If they lock you up today and they don't want to let you go, to hell with that. Who cares? 2 days after you're out, you're back again. Don't ever back down. That is the fight we're talking about. That is the real fight we're talking about. And that is what you call boots on the ground. Real boots on the ground. It is not a superficial thing. It is not just a talking thing or talking points thing. It is the only thing that the PPP understands. It is the only fight the PPP understands. Boots on the ground. And when there are boots on the ground, the PPP shivers because Jack Dale is a coward. Just like many of those pussycats he's surrounded by. They're cowards. They cry like babies when the boots hit the ground. But when the boots do not hit the ground, and all you get is some bites upon some bites upon some bites, it has no effect on the PPP. Absolutely no effect on the PPP. All right, let's begin. Good evening to all of you. What are we going to talk about? We don't want to waste our time to talk about people, the yard fowl and the yard fowl mentality and so forth and so. Some nights it has its nights, it has its show. This is not a kind of show like that. Good evening to all of you. Good evening to Otto Martin. Otto Martin from the Small Man Show. I listened to Small Man Show for a couple of minutes because I like to listen to shows that make sense, that speak the language of the ordinary people, and you can sense the passion. And I have that sixth sense that I'm able to detect and sense the passion, people who are passionate about a struggle. And I like people who are passionate about a struggle. I know that they are convicted. I know exactly what they are about when it comes to that struggle. I know those people. Otto Martin almost cried today. Tears. I know Otto cries. He's not afraid to cry. And I know he's passionate about what's happening in his country. I know that. And I know Otto is ready to fight on the ground with boots. Good evening to all of you. Gordon Daniels, good evening. Clayton Wickham, good evening. Sharon Ford, good evening. Doreen Jenny Rodney Smith. Rodney Smith, the guy who was accused of assassinating or part of assassinating Walter Rodney was Gregory Smith. And your name is Rodney Smith. What a coincidence. Sandra Hanover, how are you doing this evening? Precious Mineral. Denise Booker, the Buxtonian. She reminds us every night that the Buxtonian is in the house. V. Mac Harris. V. Mac Harris, how are you doing? I'm giving you guys some time to call up your friends and everything because I want to talk about Diane, what is it? I want to pronounce your name correctly. Anyways, Diane Dugid. I wonder if that's a honest quarantine kind of name. Stanborn says boom. Rawl, good evening to you. Lindsay Lohan. Let me see here. I'm just acknowledging you guys. So let's move on. Let's see here. What do we want to talk about? Let's start off with this a little slow first, and then we're going to heat things up. This house is said, alleged, it is, according to our source, this house belongs to Priya Manik Chan. And of course, these folks are going to say that they have money, they work. They're the only ones who work, who make money. Now, I don't know whether this is her house indeed, but I have said it a couple of nights ago, and Priya likes a brawl. Priya likes to jump in the trench and scratch up and go on and whatever. She hasn't said anything about this. But Priya is a public official. And therefore, when you take a look at this house, it is not an easy house. It is not a house that would cost 10,000 US to build or 50,000 US. This here alone, it's over 500,000 US dollars, and it is not furnished as yet. You know, when Annette Ferguson was building her little small house compared to this, they had it all over. They were talking, oh, where she got these folks are the only folks who have money, you know, and who could build house and who could do all sorts of things. Nobody else can. They're the only ones who can, right? They're the only ones who can. And anybody else who does that, there's always like a question mark. Oh, where X person got money from? Oh, who gave X person money for her? Oh, X person probably into something and all. That's what they do. That is what they do. But if Priya is watching, can Priya tell us if in fact this is her house? Can she say, what is the cost building this house? It looks to me like it's a 10-room, 10-bedroom. It has a basketball court. It has a football, a soccer court, everything it has inside there. And that's all I'm asking, a simple question. If it is Priya Manik Chand's house, then tell us, what is the cost of that house? What is the cost? And now let's touch on, I want to touch on the human rights violations and the murder of Oren Boston. But give me a couple minutes first. The COVID-19 pandemic in Guyana and the Sputnik V vaccine. There's a big controversy about that. The Minister of Health and the regime, by extension, the government, the installed government, they are hiding lots and lots of things from you. And the time has come that Frank Anthony, Dr. Frank Anthony, has to call a press conference and say to you, the Guyanese people, what exactly they have to hide about the Sputnik V. Is it the real? Is it authentic? Or is it the counter version of the Sputnik V they're getting from this middleman? Because the Sputnik V vaccine, based on research, based on investigations that we have done, a lot of people are being infected. A lot of folks who have taken the Sputnik V, both doses of the Sputnik V, are becoming infected. Every single day, scores and scores of persons are infected, even though they are fully vaccinated. There needs to be an investigation as to the source of those the Sputnik V vaccine. How is it being stored? They need proper batch number. They need all these things because there's a big question mark. That is why now Frank Anthony is telling you guys that 80,000, they're short of 80,000. They're killing people, so it may appear. They're deliberately putting people or sending people to the slaughterhouse. But they're not going to answer those questions. They're not going to come out and say those things to you. They're not going to say that the 24 young officers or officers, members who are part of the cadet officers course, sorry, they're not yet cadet officers, but 24 of them have been infected. And according to information, all or most of them are fully vaccinated with the Sputnik V. With the Sputnik V, they are fully vaccinated. But Frank Anthony, they're not going to come out and say that. Notice that quack doctor, Leslie Ramsamy, is quiet, and thank God, because nothing he says makes sense. The other one, we have never heard from him, Barry Ramsaram. Can't hear from him, because what does he have to say? What do you think he would say to you? What do you think he has to say to you? He can't say a thing, because he doesn't know anything. Frank Anthony hardly knows what he's doing. Barry Ramsaram doesn't know nothing what he's doing. He doesn't know his head from his toe. Leslie Ramsamy is basically a corporate doctor, a cricketer doctor. If a cricketer scrape you, that is all he can do, look after that scrape. So he's a cricketer doctor. None of them know what they're doing. This pandemic is out of control. People are being infected left, right, and center, and the infection rate is larger than they are telling you. The death rate is larger than what they're telling you. They're covering this thing up. That is why there should be an independent probe into that Sputnik V vaccine. I'm not saying that to scare people from taking any vaccine. It is your right to take a vaccine. I'm pro-vax. I'm pro. And I've been saying this all along. If you want to take the vaccine, take the vaccine. But it is a government's obligation to explain to citizens that the vaccines that you're taking are good enough. Simple as that. I'm not going to get into the argument, what vaccine this and who thing and that sort of conspiratorial theory and these sort. I'm not going to get involved in that. Because I heard Maya Motley from Barbados. Y'all remember her, right? Good. Well, she was talking about the same, what do you call it? The same Pfizer. A lot of you talking, you don't want to take the vaccine, but a lot of y'all have taken products, blue products from Pfizer. Y'all putting it in your body to, sorry, Anna, my pen just up and down all the time. Pfizer, blue pill. So if you guys can take, that wasn't directed towards Anil Nandalal, mind you. It's just how I flip the pen, right? Yeah. Good evening to all of you again. So be careful. If you want to take the vaccine, take it. Nothing is wrong with that. But keep an eye out for that Sputnik V. A lot of people have gotten the first dose, and over 2 months, 3 months now, they cannot get the second dose. They just cannot get the second dose. And who do you have to blame for that? You can't blame the opposition for that. You can't blame Dr. Van West Charles for that. You can't blame Dr. Karen Cummings for that. You can't blame Roysdale Ford for that. The acting opposition leader. You can't blame those guys for that. You can't blame Valda Lawrence for that. Who can you blame? Who can you blame? Huh? You blame folks who are part of the trench crappos. You know, we see some of the trench crappos already. They're getting hurt. They don't like the truth. You know, the bums start to raise. And the only sort of conversation that they can have with people, the only conversation that they can have with people is bare dotishness. But we have a lot of our people will jump and deal with them. Even if they got to go in the trench, they will go in the trenches and deal with them. Yeah, I'll go and deal with them. Deal with them, right? But back to this thing here. We've got to keep an eye on what is happening. What is happening at the COVID-19 hospital? It's full, the max, all the way. And there's nothing that the nurses and doctors can do. Absolutely nothing. Of course, the doctors and nurses would want to do something to save lives, but there's nothing that they can do. When was the last time Frank Anthony and his advisors walked around the COVID-19 hospital at Lilienthal to find out what is happening? When was the last time they have done that? They have probably never done that. They don't know what is going on. They don't have firsthand knowledge what is going on. And if I were the Minister of Health, there's so much I would have been doing. Take a tour of that place to find out the needs. The beds, they need more beds. They need more oxygen masks. They need more oxygen, the cylinders. They need those sort of things. They're grossly understaffed. They need more nurses. They need more doctors. All these things they need. They need a pastor there. They need a pandit there. Pastor Anil Sugrim. Pray for those people at the COVID-19 hospital, man. They need a pastor there. They need a pandit there so that the pandit could pray. The imam could pray. They need those folks to pray. Lots of things happening at that hospital, man. Pastor Anil Sugrim, pray. Pray for the people. Not only at the COVID-19 hospital, pray for the other folks who are infected but are at home. And I pray for them as well. If a pandit is listening to the program, pray. Om Jai Jagadish Swahade, Swami Jai Jagadish Swahade. Or Tame Wamata Chapita tumiwa bandu. Right? Or if you're a Muslim, you pray. You pray in Arabic. And Assalamu alaikum to all my Muslim brothers and sisters who are watching. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, right? Alhamdulillah. So pray and pray and pray, because prayers work, but you also got to do some work, right? Good. So that's it for the Sputnik V. That's it for the COVID-19. It is real. And this evening, this is what I want to remind you guys about. You've got to wear your mask. Whether you're vaccinated or not, wear your mask. And those of you who are not vaccinated, you have to protect yourselves even more than those of us who are vaccinated. Because not because I am vaccinated mean that I am safe. No, I'm not safe. None of us, absolutely none of us, even with the vaccine. But with the vaccine, at least it does a better job based on what we're told by the science to protect us. But this mask also does the trick. Wear your mask. Don't be an ask. Ask, A-S-K. Wear your mask. Don't be an ask. So wear your mask. All right, we notice a trenchie is up, and the trenchies are usually up for distraction. We're not about distraction at all. And when we see, and thanks to our, thanks to Pastor Anil Sugrim, thank you, and thanks to Pandit Narayan, Obraj Narayan. Good evening to you, Pandit Obraj Narayan. We know those who come to distract us. We know them. We are aware of who they are. Jamal Aziz, good evening to you. Salam alaikum, my friend. Salam alaikum. Right? So we know those who come to distract. And what our friend Lemon is going to do, that's our operator, Lemon will hunt them down and throw them in the trench. We are not about to be distracted at all. Alison Bennett. Alison Bennett is performing. Okay. Well, it's okay. Apache Warrior. Apache Warrior, my good friend. I haven't seen you in a long time, Apache. All right. So guess what? Let's go. Let's get down to business here. About that execution of that young man, Oren Boston. Oren Boston. Oren Boston. Oh, yeah. 29 years old, I believe. 29 years old. Oren Boston. That guy was murdered. That guy was deliberately murdered. It was premeditated. But here's what happened. Two Orens. One is, of course, you already know, Oren Boston. Members of the SWAT team went to his home and murdered him. And we're hearing that one policeman is under close arrest. One. Not the entire SWAT team, but one. How the heck can you have a SWAT team that is out, a man brutally murdered, and only one member of that entire team is under close arrest? And someone has asked, what exactly is close arrest? Close arrest simply means, in terms of police interpretation, is that the rank is placed in an area, in an office, or in a desk where they are not allowed to leave the office, right? Where they are not allowed to leave the office. And that is what is called close arrest. They get to eat, they get to drink, they get to all sort of things. They get to do all sort of things. They get to do. Make phone calls, hook up their wife, their girlfriend, their boyfriend, or whatever. All sorts of things they get to do. And one policeman is under close arrest. I'm wondering whether that one policeman is going to take the rap. Because I already know that they're going to come out and they're going to say it was an accident. It was an accident. That's what they're going to say. But on that night, they killed Oren Boston. That night when they killed Oren Boston, they went to another Oren, another guy, a 38-year-old guy by the name of Oren Class. Then when they finish making themselves a class by Oren Class home, broke up the man's house in search of God in heaven knows what. Then they probably realized that they were looking for the wrong Oren. And so they hopped in their vehicles and went to Oren Boston's house. As soon as they got in there, they kicked down the door, went straight into the man's bedroom. He was there with his wife, sleeping, I believe. And they took out their gun and shot him. They shot him in his upper arm. The bullet went through, destroyed his lungs and other parts of his body, upper body, and so forth and so on. They killed him almost on the spot. Then they dragged him out of the room to the front of the house and pretended that they were performing CPR. Now you tell me this. They shot that guy for no reason. He didn't put up any resistance or anything. So don't let them come to you with that baloney. They killed that guy. They murdered him. You say you think they are going to take him outside. I want them to show me that evidence. I want them to show me that proof. That you know what is CPR? Which one of them performed CPR on Oren Boston? Who performed CPR? This is the first time that I'm hearing that so-called policemen are performing CPR on victims. They don't do that, and they're never going to do that. So don't let them try to tell you guys that they tried to save him. You're going to kill him, to slaughter him, to murder him. You murder him, and then you're pretending as though you want to save his life. You don't want to save his life. It was premeditated, even though they are going to come out by tomorrow with a statement to say that the rank admitted that it was an error. His finger accidentally pulled the trigger. That is what they are going to say. And that is what they expect you guys to believe. Well, I'm telling you guys straight up, I, for one, I'm not buying that story at all. And now, let us get to this other point. The commissioner of police, the guy who is acting in that capacity, he rushed down to the scene along with the crime chief, along with them. And they met with the family. At least it's a good thing that they did that. They rushed down because they realized what the problem is and what could happen eventually. Not only in Dartmouth, but throughout the damn country. So they rushed down. So I give them kudos for rushing down. First time I've seen Hoppy hop out of his office and rush down to the crime scene. But here's what's happening. Nobody knows who gave the SWAT team, this so-called SWAT team, the order to go and do any operations in Essequibo. No one knows. Absolutely no one knows. So if the acting commissioner of police doesn't know, if the second in command doesn't know, if the crime chief doesn't know, well, tell me this then. Who really sent this so-called SWAT team for some operation in Essequibo where they barged into people's homes, broke up the house of Oren Class, and then walked into the house of this guy, right? Walked into the house of this guy, and they murdered him. cold-bloodedly murdered him in front of his wife. That is what they did. And now the police gonna want to cover things up. There's no way out for them in this. No way out. Let's take a pin for a moment. In all of this, have you heard from Irfan Ali? Have you heard from him? Did he comment about this situation? Did he extend condolences to the family members? I haven't seen it anywhere. Honestly, I haven't seen it anywhere. But what I've seen is that the very Irfan Ali is announcing cash grant for private schools. We care. These are people who love to say, we care. I don't know whether he reached out to the family members of Oren Boston, the wife, Fiona, the mother of Oren Boston, the sisters, the children, and so forth. Have they sent anyone there? Did we hear anything from the man who sits there also as, Minister of Home Affairs? But look at this statement from the Ministry of Home Affairs. Robeson Ben. Nothing there. All they're concerned about is people blocking the roads. The people have every right to block the roads, block the bridge, burn tires. They have every right to do that. Every single right to do that. At least they're not chasing and stoning and coursing up and chopping up policemen. At least they're not doing that. And I hope it doesn't get to that. Look at me in my face when I say, I really do hope it doesn't get to that. But in bad settlement, it was worse than that. But again, back to Robeson Ben. No condolences to the family members. None whatsoever. Irfan Ali, no condolences that I have seen. None whatsoever. But press releases they're issuing about other stuff. You know why they're issuing press releases? They want to divert attention from this particular assassination of that young man. Now let's get back to the SWAT team. The Commissioner of Police acting doesn't know who gave that SWAT team the order to go into another region to carry out an operation. Something like that, the Commissioner of Police has to know. Whoever sits in that office has to know. The crime chief should be informed, because where the crime chief's office is, at CID headquarters, downstairs is called the operations room, where these so-called crime fighters are, headed by a guy by the name of, you guys know his name, it'll come to my mind just now. These are guys who claim that they're fighting crime, right? But the SWAT team is not far from where the crime chief's office is. And anytime they go out, senior ranks of the guy in the police force have to be informed. And they have to sit down with their papers, their documents, to know exactly who they're targeting, how they are going to approach this target, what the house of this individual looks like. They have a back door. Okay, a couple of ranks are going to be at the back, a couple of ranks are going to be in front, and a couple are going to be at the side, and they're going to go in because they know for sure that this individual has X, Y, and Z. They haven't done that. They haven't done their homework. If they did their homework, they would not have gone and assassinate that young man, Oren Boston. They would not have gone to Oren Class House and damaged the man's property. And then after they've damaged Oren Class property, guess what they're saying? After they've damaged the man's property, now there are two Orens, right? Oren Class, his house was damaged. Oren Boston was murdered by members of the Guyana police force. This guy was murdered. The other guy, Oren Class, different homes, right? Guess what? After they ransacked the guy's house, ill-treated the family, tied the family up, tied the wife up. Of course, Priya and them not going to talk about that. And the Minister of Human Services, they're not going to come out and issue statements about these sort of things, that the SWAT team tie up the woman. How are you going to tie up the woman What are you going to tie up the woman for? Is that what the SWAT team does? I don't know of SWAT team that does those sort of things. And SWAT teams are sent out in a case of emergency. Was this a case of emergency? No, it wasn't. So someone has to answer some serious questions. And heads have to roll. And I do mean it when I say heads have to roll. Right? Good. So now, if the commissioner of police doesn't know about this SWAT team, who sent them there, the crime chief doesn't know, the other person, deputy commissioner of police for operations, doesn't know, then the question is, who sent them? Under whose orders have they been sent out there for that operation? Is it Robeson Ben? Is it Irfan Ali? Is it Bharat Jagdeo? Whose orders? Is it a drug lord? Is it fuel smugglers or gold smugglers and these things? Who ordered those guys to go and assassinate Oren Boston? Who did that? You know who would know, right? Who headed that SWAT team? Who is the most senior officer that headed that SWAT team? That person ought to know. And now they have a commander of Region 2. That commander's name is Griffith, a female commander. Now, the commander ought to know that there will be an operation in her jurisdiction. Who is heading? Who is the senior officer that is heading that SWAT team? Because the SWAT team, once they enter into that jurisdiction, they would have had to gone to the police station, maybe the Saudi police station. Maybe they stopped at Anna Regina police station as well. They picked up some officers there and they picked up some other officers. So the commander had to know. And now my question is, were all of those members on the SWAT team legitimate policemen? And that's the question. Were they all in police uniforms or were they some in plain clothes? Since when SWAT team members are in the regular blue and black uniform? I've never heard of that. SWAT team members are dressed just like that in terms of their black clothes or navy blue with the big writing, SWAT team. This wasn't the case. This seemed like a swank team with a bunch of no good, a bunch of knuckleheads, and a bunch of trigger-happy individuals. Now back to this question. Were they all members of the Guyana Police Force? Or were they members of some private security company? Were they security guards for some powerful businessman? Those are questions that need to be answered. And it can only be answered if there is an independent investigation. Maybe the FBI should be called in. Maybe we should ask our good friend, the ambassador, the US ambassador, Sarah Ann Lynch, to have the FBI in Guyana to conduct an investigation, an independent investigation into this matter, because it can get out of hand. It can. I hope not, but it can get out of hand because I smell something very fishy. Very fishy. I smell something very fishy. Are you guys smelling anything fishy? I'm smelling something very, very fishy. Fishy. We all understand what has happened. That young man was brutally murdered. It was premeditated. Don't let them tell you guys otherwise. It was premeditated. They were sent to kill that individual. That's exactly what happened. Sent to kill that individual, to murder that individual. Oren Boston. Here he is. Look at that. That there was deliberate. They're going to say it was an accident. It was deliberate. Deliberate. Cold-blooded murder. And all of the SWAT members should be under close arrest. Now, the police cannot investigate the police. The police, I repeat, the police cannot investigate the police. Because if the police investigate their own, then something will smell even more fishy about the entire investigation. Because if they are allowed to investigate this here, in fact, it should be done by what is called the Police Complaints Authority, headed by a former judge, Ramlal, I believe. But we're not hearing anything from the Police Complaints Authority. Instead, we're hearing from the OPR, Office of Professional Responsibility. That is what they do, and it's headed by a former senior police officer. Now let's go to this guy here. This guy's name is Headley. He was murdered by a police officer who shot him and killed him on the spot. The very agency that the Commissioner of Police acting is telling us that is going to be investigating the murder of Oren Boston months ago said that they were investigating this guy's death. He was murdered by a member of the Guyana police force. We also heard that the policeman who murdered this guy, Mr. Headley, was under close arrest. That is what we've heard. Are you saying that over 3 months, 4 months, that the policeman who murdered that guy Headley is still under close arrest? Are we still hearing that? And now you get my point, because the very thing we're hearing now about Mr. Boston, that the policeman who killed him is under close arrest. We've been hearing this thing far too long. And that is why I am happy that the family members or the family of Mr. Oren Boston have a lawyer. They have lawyers now to represent their interest. And the lawyer that they have is no stranger to all of us, Nigel Hughes and company. Nigel Hughes is the lawyer. And so I'm saying this to say that this is serious. And I'm glad that a competent lawyer like Nigel Hughes is on this matter. And I say competent because I really do mean competent lawyer. Nigel Hughes is on this matter, and the police is already vexed about it. So I've asked the family members to come on for a few minutes, but I'm told, and I don't have a problem with that, that, of course, all questions will be answered through their attorney. I have absolutely no problem with that at all. And so I know that it's in good hands. Nigel is a competent lawyer, and we already know where this is going to go. And when I say we already know where this is going to go, meaning that we can bet there will be swift justice. If not, then maybe tomorrow or tonight, if Otto Martin goes live, then Otto Martin can tell the people, if there's no justice, what next to do. And now we are hearing that I don't know how accurate it is, but maybe Clifton Hicken, a blue-eyed boy of the PPP, who seems to not be ashamed to say that he does the biddings of the PPP regime. And maybe Clifton Hickens can say whether he sent those SWAT members and whether those SWAT members comprise of Phantom Squad, Death Squad people, notorious Death Squad people, some of those folks who work for security or private companies and so forth. We got to hear. Mr. Hickens, maybe you should say something. I don't know. What else can we talk about? What else can we talk about? It's almost 10 o'clock. We haven't been hearing anything from or about Jack Deal, which is probably a good thing. Somebody said, according to a source I saw on one of those, I believe the Truth and Fact website, that Jack Deal is suffering a severe form of throat cancer. I don't know how true that is, but he has been absent from the public for a while. Again, which is a good thing, because the less the public hears from him, the better Guyana will be. And so I don't know whether he's in hiding, whether he's really, really sick. I don't know. I just don't know. I can't give my mouth liberty. But according to a source, that he's suffering, allegedly, serious throat cancer. All right, an inside source. That's what we're hearing. Inside source of the PPP. What else can we discuss before we go? The fact that Irfan Ali himself, health-wise, is not doing too good. Diabetes, high blood pressure, you name it. I don't know. I just don't know. Somebody's saying he's in Suriname. Well, you went to Suriname for to get a juka? Where is he going to put that juka? Oh, I know where. You love a couple of juka there. Or what do you call it, boy? You probably love a boy there. Turn around and give him a boy. Hi, Rita Singh. How are you doing? And John, how are you doing? What else can I say quickly before I go? Because I'm not going to be on with you guys all night. Somebody say you went to walk Obia. You know, one of these nights, I got to talk about this Obia thing, you know. I got to talk about this Obia thing. Because when Black folks, African people, worship in that form, they burn candle, they burn whatever it is, they burn. So as you burn a little something, right? You know, let me give you guys a quick example before I go. You see this here? It is called an agarbati, right? Some people say it's incense and so forth. I can't burn it around the place too, right? But as soon as a person of African descent put this thing here and burn a little incense, people talk about walking obia. You walking obia. You burn this thing, you put it on and you burn it. We burn one for Jack Deere tonight and Irfan and the PPP, right? But the point is, soon as you burn this thing here, they're saying you're walking obia. Benschop walking obia. This body walking obia, right? But I have a lot of Indian relatives who are Hindus. When they burn this thing, they're practicing their religion. Hinduism, agarbati, all sorts of things they burn. They bust coconut. Whenever I go waterside, we go do whatever waterside. And I've gone to the waterside on many occasions. Put on your little sweet rice, your little mahambog, your little pira, and all these sort of things. But when a Black person does that, we run out, we bawl, we say, look, Obia, the body of Obia. Hollis London is a Obia lady. Fitz Gulliver is a Obia man. Tony Hack is Obia. Desiree Manuel is Obia lady. Carl Miller is a Obia man. All these things we hear. Retta Savory Sealy is a obia lady. I don't know, man. So y'all don't run away with this thing. It is obia thing. One day we got to sit down and talk religion, so to speak. Every time a person of African descent must born something is obia. You wrap up your head is obia. I don't know, man. I don't know. Miss Booker, I don't know. You go underneath the tree and you dig a dirty and you throw something in it, is obia. You run and you put a banana in your backyard, you just hide in your banana in your backyard, you get baku. This superstitious thing, you get baku. This body mining baku, the body mining baku. A friend of mine called me, told me that his girl got him in some bottle. He saw a little person in a bottle and somebody lock you up in a bottle. I said, all of we get locked up in bottle, boy. All of we get locked up in bottle. I've got to go, man. I've got to go. I'll be back tomorrow, same place, same time. Hopefully I'll have a guest on. Naz Yan, how are you doing? Carl Miller, that's because LFSB, that's Lyndon Fobb Sampson Burnham, legalized obia. Obia doesn't have to be legalized. Everything is obia. You bun your hair is obia. You dig your ears is obia. You wear your African attire, you're obia man. But Pandit could walk with the dhoti, with nothing underneath or whatever. Pandit could walk with the dhoti, he could wear a kurta, and all these different things. And you see Pandit, you say, Pandit, namaste. Panditji, namaste. You see Colin Bino from Kildona with the nice African outfit on, you're running till to the water side because you say Colin Bino look like an obia man. Or Paul Henry look like an obia man. I don't know, man. I don't know how that topic came up, though. How it came up. Lisa, how are you doing tonight? Good evening to you. Obia man. I have a story about an obia lady. My dad took me to Kanji, obia lady. And here all this thing. I find this thing here to be a trick, you know. To tie something on a string. When they tie something on a string, and when they reach the string the thing starts shake and eat it, man. I hate that obia lady for the rest of my life. She blame me for thief and mango when the ring starts shake. So, hey, guy, these are superstitious, you know. Let's say to give you guys a little laugh for this evening. Canaries, how are you doing, my friend? How are you? Glad all is well. Akila Ash, that's a nice name. Let me see what Akila Ash is saying. Them obia men, powerful. And there was a couple of people who went obia man and obia lady, forgive me. Probably didn't work. Let me see here what's going on before I go. Yes, the sugar workers at Lancaster Village, headed by my good friend and former neighbor Parks, Mr. Parks. Good job today. He's very vocal, and those cane cutters, those sugar workers, we call them now to be politically correct. Those sugar workers were protesting. They were protesting today. You know, they were protesting because they want their money. They want more money, and the PPP folks out in Berbice are shortchanging these guys. They're disrespecting these sugar workers. Again, another example that the PPP doesn't care about workers. They don't care about the sugar workers. They just don't give a damn about sugar workers. They're only pretending as though they care. And so the sugar workers were saying, well, look, everybody's getting cash grant, right? They have lost 80% of the, or 30% of, or 40% of the cash. The crop, sorry. But they're not being compensated. And what the sugar workers are saying, they want to be compensated. I don't know. Like, we really got to walk obia on this regime. You know what? Let me see what's going to happen by tomorrow. Let me see if we're going to hear from Jack there, or they're going to get some fighting or something born in this. Yeah. Let me see what's going to happen by tomorrow. Plane is stupid. If boots on the ground can't work, if fight can't work, well, might as well let Obi walk. Hey, I love you guys, right? I love you guys. I've got to go. I really got to go. Let's see what happens. If you're going through whatever it is, some of you may have been tested positive for the COVID-19. Speedy recovery. Maybe you have a death in the family. I know, like Nurse Maynard, her funeral is sometime this week, I think, or sometime this weekend. Condolences again to Nurse Maynard. And we have other folks who have passed away, Mr. Maxwell Tom as well. Condolences to his entire family, his staff at 93.1 FM. All right, so thank you all so much for listening. I'll be back tomorrow evening, same place, same time. I know the obvious stuff, but then again, before we go, when you go to like, anyways, let me don't say anything, because the last time I said something, my good friend Pandit Obraj Narayan called me immediately, even though it's the truth. Even though it's the truth. I've got to go, man. I'll be back tomorrow, same place, same time, right here on 107.1 FM. Thank you all for tuning in this evening. God bless you.
This ain't a long time, this ain't a long time, this not a before time. This ain't a long time, this ain't a long time, this not a before time. This ain't a long time, this ain't a long time, this not a before time. Long time got them lang loji, now you got them bongolo. Long time got them lang loji, now you got them bongolo. This ain't a long time, this ain't a long time, this not a before time. This ain't a long time, this ain't a long time, this not a before time. Long time got them dirty down, now you got them concrete road. Long time got them dirty down, now you.
It's hard, it's hard, it's hard to be at peace with the ones who are so discard. It's hard, it's hard, it's hard. Them have a knife in your back and them smile it so broad. Help me to deal with the ones them who say them love me when them really don't. Help me to deal with the fans them kill me flesh when the crowd a shout. Jesus, help me on the battlefield. Jesus, help me on the battlefield. Help me on the battlefield. Cause the booby traps with them set is real. I never want to take your glory, Lord. Send your angels to encamp around about me and stand guard. To envy is so easy and to love it is so hard. Let me work for your glory and not for the award. Don't make me ever get caught up in the scream and the applause. And go talk about the blessing and not talk about the Lord. All these things are vanity. I need your reward. Let me be real. Don't put on no facade. Help me to deal with the ones them who said them love me when them really don't. Help me to deal with the fans them give me flesh when the crowd a shout. Jesus, help me on the battlefield. Jesus, help me on the battlefield. Help me on the battlefield. Cause the booby traps with them set is real. Sticks and stones can break my bones and words can harm me. They can harm me. When the evil come against me, you'll protect me. You'll protect me. Father, I need the strength of your son. Jesus. Cause you know my work is not done. Lord, I need that endurance just to finish this race that I run. Help me to deal with the ones them who said them love me when them really don't. And help me to deal with the fans them kill me flesh when the crowd are shout. Jesus, help me on the battlefield. Jesus, help me on the battlefield. Help me on the battlefield. Cause the booby traps with them set is real. You Jah tell me to stand firm, cause every little plan you have a confirm. I know them evil plan turn. In a darkness, me a the lantern. So help me to deal with the ones that who said them love me when them really don't. Jesus, help me to deal with the fans them kill me flesh when the crowd a shout. Help me on the battlefield. Jesus, help me on the battlefield. Help me on the battlefield. God, the booby traps with them set is real. Help me to deal with the ones them who said them love me when them really don't. Help me to deal with the fans them